Okay, let's take it off. It's off mute now. Hey, good morning, everyone. I believe all of you are, if you're not on mute, you're getting ready to be off on mute, which means that you can talk freely. The only thing I ask is that you mute your stuff if there is any noise at your agency. So, good morning and welcome to our first meeting for Project Innovation. You know what, as a show of hands or size or whatever, can you see us? This is to my left, your right. This is Karen. And you guys have not seen or met. You have not seen Meg. This is Meg, our intern for this year, working on PI. And she is to my right, your left. So I'm hoping that all of you, if you've got your, if you're techie smart and you've got your cameras up and running, you can see us as well. We thought this would be much better to see real live people opposed to a blank screen, which we are going to jump to the blank screen when we get to the agenda. So that being said, I just wanted to say that we thought that this would be easier for you for the first meeting, because we hadn't done a feeler to see what agency could actually hold a meeting for us this month, and we did it kind of quickly. But moving forward, don't get spoiled, because we will be doing our usual face-to-faces. So perhaps I can get someone to think about now where if they'd like to host our next meeting, and if so, we're probably about 17 to 20 people strong. So think about that. Think if you have the space to accommodate. You can always take snacks or whatever you'd like to prepare if it's morning or afternoon out of your budget to make that easier to accommodate your guest. And one more housekeeping piece is if you have a comment or a question that you don't want anyone to see, feel free to type it in and we can respond back to you directly, or we can respond back to the group. As usual, as you know, I am not going to stick to the agenda in its order, but it's our goal to get through everything that we have listed. Okay, I've been asked to ask Adrian, and Tom, you got to put your face in here, because whenever I do these webinars, I need to let people see who the TA people are. This is Tom. Hey, he's in Children's Services, and he is our IT person providing technical assistance for us today. We couldn't do it without him. So Adrian, the question that Tom has for you is, can you hear us? If you can, then you can say yes or no.
Yes.
Great. And then Brandy, the same for you. Can you hear us? Brandy Booker? Or Caesar, can you hear us? Okay, because you've got the green light to talk, so let us know, Caesar. Can you hear us, Caesar? Can you hear us? Okay, Constance can hear us, because I just heard that. Okay. Okay, and so Hannah, can you hear us? Yeah.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, she can hear. Okay, so cool. So, and so that everyone knows, those of you who were with us last year, this webinar, so we can make sure that Hannah was on board, is one of the reasons why we are moving towards this end, because she is now, she's already a native New Yorker, but she is in New York telling all her business. And so we wanted to make sure that she was able to, wanted to make sure that she could join us for this meeting. So, and we have Darlene. So Darlene Sandifer is saying that she's waiting to get on. So we should have someone on. She should be on in a minute. Okay, so without any further ado, let's just jump to the agenda for the webinar for our meeting this morning. So, as you know, Meg has sent to you the badging flyer. This event is on February the 16th. That is a Friday. It is going to take place at Gary Comer Youth Center, and I think the address is on the flyer, so you have that information. What you really need to know is that the expectation is you will have at least 5 youth attend along with you the badging event that is scheduled to occur from 5:30 to 7. It is going to be a panel discussion, and there will be youth there who have badged and can share with the youth in the audience what they have learned about the badging event, which I think is pretty cool because this is all about giving you support. So you can make this a field trip for your youth, and it will allow them to actually see youth in that's doing badging and having the opportunities that badging can afford. So the panel will be an hour, and then from that, we will feed our youth between 6:30 and 7. So we're really looking forward to it. We really have a great lineup. We really believe that this will help you to implement your badging process so it's not just in a vacuum. You know, we really want to make this as successful as possible. So that's the part about badging. Are there any questions? You can close it out, the camera, yeah. Are there any questions about the badging event? And again, you know, if you have a side question and you want to type that, feel free to type that and we can respond to you, or if you want, we can respond to all. We good? You guys are good with bringing your youth? You guys are good with it being a field trip, time, date? Okay. One of the things I wanted to share was that when we sought to a location, and we tried to find a central location. So we reached out to Gary Comer, and one of the things that, you know, they said was they were happy to host this for us as a Black History Month event, and they may have some of their youth outside of the PI youth in the audience because they want to show others that there are people in the African American community that actually can do science and math. I need to put you all on mute for 1 minute. All right, so I just read Ann's question, and I'm going to respond to all. And what I'm going to say about that is but you need to bring some youth to your program, so to the panel. So case in point, if you have any youth, right, who will later on benefit or who can share like a trainer of youth, then bring those youth. But you do need to have some youth representation at the event on February the 16th. Give me a minute. Tom is trying to assist someone to sign in for the webinar. Okay, so we're going to move on to the next topic is the agency badge design. And I put this up here because I know we have a February the 2nd or 8th deadline. And because we have created this event and the initial thought around this February deadline was to just get a feel for what you actually had in terms of a draft, okay? But and it was also so that we could go to print, because we're going to print each agency's individual creative, beautiful badge to display at our event on May 24th. But I think that in all fairness, because we are just embarking on this, and it's new to you, it's new to everyone, that we, unless you already have a badge and you're comfortable with that, we're going to extend that deadline to the middle of March.
Okay.
And so if you have your badge, you know, you can submit it for us to look at. But if you would like to have an extension until the second week in March, and I'm actually going to my calendar, I'm thinking like maybe March 16th. So we give you some time to actually have your badge. It doesn't mean that you cannot begin to identify youth to badge. So there's a difference. You don't have to have your badge ready yet, but you can clearly begin to identify youth that will receive a badge. And so that would still give us some time, right, Karen? We do March 16th?
Yeah.
It'll still give us some time to get your badges printed. So does that work for everyone if we do March 16th? Yes.
See if they can talk.
Okay, so Tom is asking me to see if you can talk and say yes.
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 Yes. Okay, so, okay, we're just checking to make sure that, you know, we're not having a meeting by ourselves. That would be no fun, you know? Okay, so now, so we know we're going to move that to March 16th. That means that you will send to Meg and myself and Karen your badges, what they look like. And then, you know, Hannah and Meg will decide what type of, unless Hannah, you can tell us now what type of format you would like to have the badges so we can begin to take them to print. And if not, that's fine. Perhaps you all can send us a draft prior to the 16th so we can see what the resolution looks like, so we'll better be able to tell you what it needs to look like for us to be able to print it. The badges will be printed in fabric as well as in print. So I know there's a certain resolution that's going to be needed in order for that to happen. And they'll probably also be in the program itself. So if you can send us the badge, just say you can send us the draft maybe 5 days before, so we can get a feel for it. That would be.
Arlene, actually, Meg and I can align in the next, this is Hannah, Meg and I can align in the next week to define the parameters of what the resolution will need to be and what the shape will need to be, so that people can know that format moving forward, if that works for you.
That works, that's perfect. Does that work for everybody? So we'll, yes.
So I can send out parameters in a week, in 1 week from this meeting, so everybody's on the same page with what's required of the badges.
Okay, that works. So that would be, what, the 9th? No, what's today? Wednesday? So that would be the 7th.
Yes.
That'd be the 7th. So, okay, so on February the 7th, Hannah will send out to everyone what the badging requirements should be, what type of layout it should be in, so that when you submit them on the 16th, we're already rolling and the design is in place. So that should work for everyone, right? Okay.
That they heard you.
Okay, so Tom is saying that if you can't speak, then, I know you can speak, but if something is happening with volume, then feel free to type in your response, okay? Okay, so internships. So I'm going to kind of like say a couple things, but I'm going to turn it over to Karen because this is her baby.
You see, you're going to say a few things.
Oh, okay. So, what am I going to say? I am going to say that we're trying to connect, and Karen can elaborate more, but we had a meeting with the Chicago City of Learning last week, and they're actually going to be guests at our event on February the 16th. And we're looking at what type of badging incentives we can create. Karen is doing a separate set of incentives, but we're looking at incentives that we can create specifically for badges that will be perhaps some sort of internship, and possibly other electronics that we can use as a dangling carrot in front of your youth in order to get them to, be more involved and engaged in the process.
And for the internships, we're looking at being able to set up interviews that will be an inroad to these internships in communities and with businesses that have some technical background as well as in the field of art. So this is an ongoing process for me. I have several feelers out and several meetings actually set up since the end of the holidays. So we'll be moving forward on that. And again, this will be first interviews, and from those interviews, the businesses will be able to choose if they would like to connect with the businesses moving forward. And the young people are going to be connected to these internship possibilities through categories as winners. So the agencies will be winners, and then from the winners will come the interviews, and from the interviews we'll set up the internships. So it'll be a step-by-step process, and I will write that out so that everyone can have that information and begin the preparation for your young people, because we want them to have some kind of work background in preparation for this moving forward as well.
Sounds good. And so I think we're really going to have some great opportunities, and this will be ongoing. Meg is also working on some incentives from various art-related agencies, foundations, corporations, so that we can really support our youth and give them great experiences for this year and moving forward. Because in our mind, you have youth who you've had in your program from quite some time, who now you moved over possibly into project innovation, and they are going to each year be a part of your project innovation program. And so what we would like to see is that those youth are being cultivated, those youth are being engaged, so that each year we can take them up a level and they really have great STEAM experiences as they stay with you throughout the program. And we want you to be able to offer them these incentives and these internships so that, they're college ready and they've got a great background in this particular field if this is what they choose to do. So this is not on the agenda, but I want to mention to you that we've had just a few glitches with getting our work plan up in CitySpan for 2018. But when it is up, we are going to send out a blast to everyone. I know you probably have people enrolled that you're trying to get in, but as soon as you get the blast, we do need you to begin to put their attendance in, and clearly go back to put their attendance in, because our badge is based on attendance and engagement. So now we just want to briefly talk about PR. So last year, one of the things that was really missing for us was to have the type of press exposure to let people know what we were doing and how successful our program was and is. And so we're reaching out to you to see if you have any people that you work with in terms of newspapers, radio, because we want that kind of coverage. Now, whoever you work with, they will have to work in conjunction with our PR department. But if you have someone in mind or you're working with someone, if you send us that information, that would give us a jump start, so that, you know, we can begin to set up the parameters of what's going to be put out there and who's going to be putting it out, and then be able to capture that. So clearly, I know DCYC has someone that they work with. They mentioned that last year, but we didn't get that up in time. So send me whoever you have so that we can connect and move forward. The event location, again, is going to be at Malcolm X College. However, this time we've got the theater. We were in 2 rooms last year, so now we have the whole conference area. Again, we'll have the hallway, and we'll also have I think we have 1 or 2 classrooms. So we're going to really be able to stretch out and expand, since we now have 19 agencies and not 20. FYI, if you don't know already, Mujeres en Acción is no longer with us. They have closed their youth program down, and so opposed to replacing the agency, we are just now at 19. I'm going to turn the event expectations over now to Hannah. Hannah, you want to talk about that?
Sure, and I think that one of the great things about building this off of the event from last year is that we had such fantastic participation from so many of the organizations and so many kids that we were able to really build up these new metrics based on that previous participation. So as we get closer to the event itself, we're going to be releasing more specific ideas of what we're really expecting from not only each agency, but also from each of the students that are attending the event, what we expect from their attendance. As sort of a precursor to that, since we're not releasing those at the moment, but we will be releasing those further down the line, along with those contest rubric sort of points, so that everybody knows what metrics we're judging the logo contest and the booth contest and the presentation contests by. We'll also be talking about what we expect from the students. This is going to include assistance at the booth from all students. So not just having a few individuals that are designated to work the booth in various shifts, but every student that is a part of your team should be able to speak to the project and to work the booth that is set up if you are setting up a booth. Similarly, we are expecting all youth that are attending the event to take the time to move throughout the event, to visit the other booths, to connect with the other projects that are on display, rather than remaining in their corner or in their booth for the duration of the time. So setting up a type of rotation schedule for your students would be a really fantastic way to make sure that everybody gets exposure to all of the potential network building or just sort of project exposure that every youth would ideally be getting from this event. Finally, we are going to be expecting all the youth to be really participating in those contests and the contests that we're going to be releasing further into February and early March. That includes that logo contest, which you may remember from last year, where we do ask students to draw a proposed logo for this event, and then the awarded logo will also receive some swag that has their logo printed on it. So we do expect participation in that logo contest from a majority of your students in each of your organizations. And beyond that, we'll be releasing more specific event expectations as we near closer to the event, but just as a heads up for what those may be, it will have a lot to do with the level of participation on the part of the youth, both at your booth and at your specific purview of your project, and with the other booths and projects in display.
Perfect. Thanks, Hannah. So I'm not sure, I was sidebarring. Just to repeat or maybe confirm what Hannah has said. So if you are just STEM, then you will have both a booth and a presentation. And if you are art, then you will do a performance and you should have a booth, because people should know about our art agencies, what you do, what type of art you've been working on throughout the year. And if you are a performance agency, you still will have a booth so people know who you are, what you do, and you will be performing. So the performing agencies will be Mariachi, Chicago West Music, and Kaumba Links, as well as Chicago Young Chicago Authors. Is that it? And I need to check in with you, Metropolitan Family Services, to kind of clarify what you're going to be doing, as well as you, Mike, because I think you said your group may be doing some of both. So those things we need to, for those two agencies, we need to drill down and see what's going on. But clearly, we're clear on the other agencies, what their agencies do and what we will be expecting. And the performing agencies, you will rotate and do 2 performances. And as Hannah's saying, as we get further into the layout of the event expectations, we'll set up the run of show, but just be prepared to do 2 performances as well as 2 separate and it can be either the same performance, because you'll have 2 different audiences the way we're going to rotate, or you could do 2 different pieces. It's up to you. And there will also be a time for you to perform before the program actually begins, and probably towards the end of the program, but we will iron that out. And if you have any questions, please, shoot them to me so that we can get them out to you so you're clear as we move along. But let me just say that the logo contest was such a wonderful idea we had last year, and youth were able to sport their hats around with the logo of the winner on them. And so each year we will be doing this contest, and there will always be a hat with the logo on it for that year's winner to be able to be proud of and everyone wear. I think we have adult volunteers. Karen's going to talk about the group that we're going to bring in, but in terms of adults, if you have parents who can provide us with their time to help us with setup and help us with breaking down at the end of the event, please let us know so that we can set up some parent meetings, even if we do webinars or conference calls. So we need their names so we can actually assign them some tasks that we'll need to get done. Last year, we literally put all of our gift bags together the day of the event, and we're hoping that this year, if we have enough volunteers, that we can have that done and just bring those items to the event and not have to try to set it up, because it just makes such a long day. It's a long day anyway, but it makes an even longer day when we have to put those items together. So guest speakers. Last year, we were seeking high and low for a guest speaker. We're not, we as usual, we don't want the show to be taken over by too much conversation other than what our youth are going to do and perform. So we know that one of our speakers that wants to come on board will be our commissioner. She wants to speak again this year. However, she may defer her conversation to the mayor, because it's her intention to have the mayor at the event. So he may be one of the speakers, but it looks like we may have our speaker in place already, and once we get that confirmed, we'll get back to you. So in the meantime, if you know someone in the field of STEAM who would like to speak at our event for about 7 to 10 minutes, and that may be too long, depending on the program, let us know. Shoot us their information so that we can have a conversation with them. Last year, Cynthia recommended one of her parents at Marwin, and she did a great job at speaking to our youth, and she had a wonderful presentation. So, let us know if you have someone so that, we can start having that conversation sooner or later. From what we learned last year, we're just trying to make sure that we get things done in a more timely manner, so that on our level, it's less for you to have to do in the background. So, any questions? Okay, so let me clarify. Someone has a question about March 16th, and March 16th is the day that your final badges will be due. And again, what we're going to do is send out the badging requirements in terms of what type of layout they need to be in and resolution, and Hannah will send that to you by the 7th, which is February 7th, which is a week from now. And if you want to send us a draft by March 12th, you can, but by March 16th, we'd like to have your final badging design. Any other questions? Okay, so is there anyone now that can chime in on whether or not they could host our meeting, our next meeting? Our next meeting will be in February. We can always send out another Survey Monkey to drill down the date. That would work for everyone. So let me ask you something. Is there a day of the week that's better for everyone? A Friday, a Wednesday, a Monday? Actually, we'd like to either do Wednesday or Friday. So the meeting dates will either be Wednesday or Friday. If there's anyone, okay, so Constance wants to know if a Knock at Midnight can have 5 tables this year. So let me say this. Last year, we had 10 agencies, and we were tight for tables, okay? So I cannot say yes, can bring, that we can set you up for 5 tables. What's going to happen is Karen and Hannah will deal with the layout of the room. And once we do a layout, then we can better respond. However, if there's someone that only needs 1 table, then that helps those that need more than 3 tables. I think last year we had, was it 3 tables we had, ladies?
Really average, yeah.
Yeah, so Karen is saying yes. Last year we had 3 tables per agency, and
some agencies did have more, but it average was 3, and it was just maybe 1 or 2, maybe 4 or 5. 3 was the average.
So 3 was the average. We did have a couple that had 4 or 5 tables, and that was based on the fact that maybe people had 3. I think then we had maybe a couple people maybe had 1. So that's how you could get more than the 3 tables. So let us do a layout, because now, again, we have 19 agencies and we want to accommodate everyone, and then we can see if we can go up to 5.
One thing that was also, sorry, Erlene, this is Hannah. Just one thing that was also a factor in considering how many tables every agency got, whether they were in a corner or not, or whether they needed an alcove or could just do sort of a more flat presentation with 1 or 2 straight tables. So if agencies can think about the layout that they want, if they're doing robotics, for example, and they need some floor space versus if maybe they can put everything on the table, that's also very helpful when thinking about how to lay out the room as a whole.
Okay, so it looks like the next meeting date will be Friday, February 23rd. If so now I just need so you can mark your calendars for that date, and if someone can tell me if they can host that Friday, February 23rd, that would be great.
The 23rd is on a Friday?
23rd is on a Friday. February 23rd will be our next meeting. It's a Friday, so we just need someone to be able to, okay, so Knock at Midnight is saying they can host. Does anyone else okay, so here we go.
Chicago West can do it.
Okay, so let's do this. So central location. Since we're having GCYC on the south side on the 16th, we'll do Chicago West, which is, give me the address, Darlene.
100 North Central Park Avenue.
So 100 North Central Park Avenue will be the next meeting location. We will have it between 10, I think 10 is good, and 11:30. So there we go. We've got the next meeting date and location. Thank you, Constance, and thank you, Darlene. So I'm going to answer some other questions. Unsure of the PR process. Can you clarify again? Okay, so what we're trying to do is make sure that we have press coverage of the event on May 24th. And so if you have an agency that you work with that does your press releases, an agency that you work with that does some newspaper coverage for you, whatever, we'd like to connect those people with our PR department so that, you know, we can have, because we have to have approval of everything we put out. So we just like to connect those parties with our people so they can work in conjunction and put information out about the event from their different venues that they work with. STEM agencies are required to do a PowerPoint presentation. You're required to do a presentation as well as an exhibit table. And the best way to do your presentation, it's good to have some sort of backdrop behind you. Let me know if that answers your questions, Constance. Okay, so Leslie, what's the badging training? I need you to move the arrow so I can see it.
Oh, you can see all right here.
Oh, that's right, I didn't look down there. Interesting, interesting. So Leslie's question is that in her conversation with Jessica, she was informed that her badge, that her agency's design, her agency's logo could be her badge. And so if that's what you want to go with, then that's fine. In our mind, we're looking something that would be badge specific, something that would be a little bit more in the creative end. But if that's easy for you and that's what you want to use, I'm okay with that. Do we have the logos of the agencies? I think Hannah put the logos of the agencies. I don't have it in front of me. Hannah, did we use the agencies' logos? Can you remember last year in the program?
Yes, we did. So each program included the agency's name, logos, any staff people that are credited working with the booth, obviously. But the logo specifically we did have in the brochure and also in the rotating backdrop that we presented when there weren't any presentations going on.
So then your logo would be your badge, so it would just be repetitive. So it's up to you how you want to spin it. If it was me, I'd create something separate from my logo. And something with some youth involvement because it's about them for them.
And it's specific to project innovation.
And it's specific to project innovation. So using your logo is kind of like the easy way out. And if that's how you want to do it, that's fine. But just keep those things that we mentioned in mind before you make a final decision. Project will be at the Science is Cool conference. So Project Sincere will be at the Malcolm X College Science is Cool conference. Adrian, you want to elaborate on that?
She has to take herself. I don't think she has speaker.
Okay. So it doesn't look like you have speaker capabilities. So Adrian, you want to type in some more information about the Malcolm X College Science is Cool conference? And no, we did not record this webinar because it's just a simple meeting. Did you record it anyway?
Yeah, because it goes to the recording on.
Okay, so yeah, so there's a recording of this webinar, and what happened is at the end, Tom will send me a link, and I will blast the link out to all of you. So Adrian, can you elaborate now?
Yes, sorry, I was trying to unmute. I was just making that note for it's a conflict for the meeting time, but if I'm the only agency, then we can definitely catch up through the minutes. But Malcolm X hosts a Science at School conference. They've been doing it once a semester, and they invite certain elementary schools to attend. It's about 300 students. And so my entire staff, along with volunteers, ComEd, Blue Cross, Motorola, we bring them out to do like an engineering project with the students from about 9 to noon that morning.
Okay, cool. Thank you. That sounds really cool. I think this is it in terms of questions. So any meeting that you can't make, don't worry about it. Don't worry about Tom. Any meeting that you can't make, the expectation is that you all will send a representative. If that's not possible, let us know. But it's always best to have someone here in person to bring back the information. Okay, so outside of that, I mean, this is really cool. We did this meeting in like 40 minutes. If there's no other questions, we're going to sign off. We have our next meeting date. We have our next location. I will see you all at the event on February 16th. Expectation is everyone will be there. You will have some youth in attendance. And I'm hoping as we move forward into the year that we are getting ready for the event. I'm sure those of you who were with us last year, I'm just going to say, I know there is high competition. I'm knocking midnight, Project Sincere. You guys got to look out because these other agencies are coming for you. So you guys will have to bring it because, you know, from what I heard from the other agencies, and I know they shared it with you, they are truly coming because you all, like, you did it. You did
the bar high.
Yes, thanks, Karen. So if there's no other questions, I hope you all have a great rest of the day. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you on February 16th. And as always, feel free to reach out to any of us on the team, and anything that Hannah and Meg and Karen ask, please, in terms of security for this event, please respond as quickly as possible. All right. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Hi.
Hey, Hannah.